After the 7-1 victory over PSV, I think Arsenal fans were ready to celebrate, going back to goal-scoring ways, going back to free-flowing, attacking football. But we have just finished watching Arsenal 1, Manchester United 1, and we were back to our very, very stodgy selves at the moment. It was a tough watch, and I'm going to dive into all of it now in this kind of match review, instant reaction podcast. Let's get started. Yes, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Arsenal Unfiltered, your 3 times a week dose of Arsenal coverage with me, your host, Mark. It is 6:36, and I have literally just finished watching Arsenal 1, Manchester United 1, and I always like to kick off these podcasts by going, saying I hope wherever you are and wherever you're listening from, I hope you're well and I hope your family are well. Well, today I am going to say I really, really hope you're well, because that was a tough watch, wasn't it? A really tough watch, and this might be a bit more raw than my usual ones because I'm literally coming straight off the game. It's a bit more of a kind of instant reaction style podcast as opposed to the usual kind of couple of days later review or day after review. So let's see how it goes. I'm going to go through the first half, how stodgy and difficult it was, and obviously the moment of magic from Bruno Fernandes, which put Manchester United in front. But then I think most of this is going to come in the second half, because that second half was nothing like what I expected. Nothing like what I expected at all. Credit to Manchester United. I don't want to give credit to them because I hate them. I hate them so much. But I thought they played way better. I've been really interested in Manchester United since they signed Amorim, because I have real doubts about this 3-4-3 or 3-4-2-1 kind of formation that he's pushing. I just don't think it works in the Premier League. But actually today they did a really, really good job of creating chances on the counter-attack. And weirdly, in the second half, once they had the lead, they came and played a little bit more. They were far more aggressive on the counter-attack. But we will get into that. Let's start with the first half. Let's start with the lineup, actually, a full kind of old school throwback to my early match review days. So we went with David Raya in goal, Jurrien Timber right back, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori make up the back four. No complaints there. Obviously, the question would be Myles Lewis, Skelly or Calafiori. And I think we saw Calafiori get done a couple of times down that right-hand side. They put Garnacho on him, which was a smart move from Amorim. I think if they put Garnacho on Timber, the way Timber's been playing, there's no chance he gets any change out of him. But Calafiori, he can be got out a little bit. He can be turned around and doesn't look quite as comfortable in those one-on-ones as a Jurrien Timber or a Ben White does. So it was a clever choice, but I still think it was the right choice to play Calafiori, even though they put Garnacho out there, because I just didn't want Myles Lewis Skelly in the kind of limelight anymore. Come off on the bench, and which he obviously did around the 60th minute, and play well, that's great, but I felt like he needs a break from the limelight, and Calafiori can kind of step in. Calafiori's still very young, but he's got that little bit more experience. But Partey, Rice, Ødegaard, midfield, standard, wasn't expecting anything else. Nwaneri, Merino, Trossard up front, standard, wasn't expecting anything else. The news that obviously did break around midday was that Gabriel Martinelli was with the squad, and Gabriel Martinelli ended up coming on and playing some minutes, playing more minutes than maybe I think Arsenal would have wanted, but he was needed today, obviously, to go and help us get an equaliser. And yeah, that performance, that match, really not great. I'm not sure how I feel about it, because as we tried to attack, I feel like we left massive gaps at the back and lost some of our organisation. I'll get into all of that, but the good news of this afternoon and this evening is that Gabriel Martinelli is back and has played some minutes for Arsenal. We have a first choice attacker again. It's not going to solve all the problems. We are still going to watch some difficult matches and some difficult games, but it's great that we've got him back. It's great that we can rest Ethan Nwaneri a bit. It's great that we can maybe move Trossard into centre forward and have Mikel Merino at left 8 like we did at the end of the game. Fantastic news. It's not going to solve everything, unfortunately. Let's get into it then. Let's get started. And I actually thought we started okay. first 10-15 minutes, we sort of settled into the game, and you could hear, probably around 20-25 minutes in, the United crowd just started to turn. And I thought, actually, this is a really sensible approach to this game, because they had protests at the start. They had kind of really bad energy around the club recently. Let's play our way into it, and make sure that we are dominating the ball, tight at the back, and really keeping control of it, so that, Manchester United tire themselves out, get a bit leggy, and the crowd get a bit on top of them as well. I think that was really sensible. I couldn't complain, really, because at points, United were going long to absolutely no one. They were defending with 11 men and just pumping it long, and we were turning it around, and that you could hear the audible frustration from the crowd. So very, very interesting. Very, very interesting how we started. And I thought it was okay, but then we did start to get into that kind of that pattern that we've grown to know since we lost Kai Havertz and that Dubai trip that really has not worked for us. Let's have a look. We had in the 3rd minute a press nearly fell to Marino, so that was quite good. There was the Ødegaard shot on kind of the 9th minute. Marino shot on the 9th minute, which he dragged it a bit wide after an Ødegaard Rice 1-2. United starting to get a couple of breaks then. Ødegaard had a shot from distance, but it was much of nothing. Okay, and both teams were really lacking quality. Arsenal lacking quality in and around the Manchester United box, and United lacking quality to provide a pass out when they did win the ball to start an effective break, I should say, and launch anything of substance. The one thing of substance that did happen in the first half, and I was fuming because you can just see it coming. You can just see it coming. The Bruno Fernandes free kick. There is so much to unpack in this moment. Let's start with why they have a free kick in the first place. And so the ball's come forward. Calafiori's won a header, and it's come down to Trossard, and Trossard's taken another terrible touch. Trossard running towards his own goal is starting to become a pattern that I really don't like. Really don't like it. Bournemouth game where Saliba gets sent off, that is a Trossard back pass. We've had another example of it, can't think of it off the top of my head, but today we've had another one. He's running back towards his own goal, he cannot deal with it, he just sort of kicks it, and it allows Manchester United to get on the ball. He then goes tearing after it to try and recover the scenario, and I understand why he's done that, but he ends up giving away the free kick, getting a booking. It's definitely a free kick. But then what unfolds after that is very, very strange. Very, very strange indeed. Gary Neville on commentary said, that wall looks so far away. And once we got to half-time, Sky Sports did calculate. It was 11.2 yards away. So Anthony Taylor's made a real effort to push that out. Am I mad at the ref? I don't think so. I think it's a weird thing to analyse. Because I'm sure if we went and looked at all the wall distances, some would be 10 exactly, some would be 8, some would be 9, some would be 11. Ultimately, what we're seeing is a very high quality free kick from Bruno Fernandes. He hits it with this kind of topspin technique, kind of more straight through the ball rather than kind of round or whipping on it. And do we have any questions about David Raya's goalkeeping here? I mean, we will obviously come on to his absolutely fantastic performance in the second half, but I think he is a little bit far over to the right in this occasion, and it doesn't, it's not stanchioned, it's not perfect top right corner, it's a little bit inside the post, and I think he's just got his starting position wrong. He makes a good effort to get to it, but at that point I was just gutted. Going in at half time 1-0 down, where Manchester United had been largely horrible, had defended okay, but we had all of the ball, all of the match was ours. The momentum graph, if you're interested in that sort of thing, is wild for the first half. They don't get a sniff, not a sniff, and it was just so frustrating that we were crying out for a moment of quality and had so many opportunities to deliver a great pass, deliver a great cross, do something special in the final third. We had so much time in the final third, and we didn't make it happen at all. We had 6 shots in the first half, a 0.61 expected goals. That's not incredible, to be fair. But yeah, we didn't make it happen. We did not make it happen. And then Manchester United have one moment at all, and they go, and fair play to them. Bruno Fernandes makes it happen. It feels like, we at the moment are their cup final. We are their cup final, and I find it so frustrating how they're kind of terrible, and then they just always seem to have this moment against us. Something will go right for them, and yeah, so annoying. And I don't even mean that in a we've we've had a bad run against them. We haven't lost to them now in 5 Premier League games. We've won 4 of those, drawn this afternoon. We have the better of this rivalry, but they are always so bad, when we come to play them, and in the weeks coming up to playing them, I should say, and then they just pull something out for us. Always the way. Gary Neville did this kind of prediction thing with Roy Keane at the start, and he made the point, actually, Manchester United have been showing up for big games recently, and yeah, they have, and they showed up for one today. They absolutely showed up for one today. I mean, I'm trying to look for positives in the first half from Arsenal. I thought our defensive positioning was fine until, the 47th minute. That was the only time we really got it wrong, and we got punished for it. I thought we did well, kind of making sure they were pinned in, but we just did not have the right stuff going forward. But the second half was the really interesting half. We obviously come out and we know we need to score, and yeah, it was a strange start to the second half, because it didn't feel like we were really doing tons. It felt like it was falling into a similar sort of pattern. The only real note I made was one of the corners. We had a driven corner out to Rice on the edge of the area from Ødegaard, which he volleyed. And it was a decent enough chance, a half chance, but not until United start to play a bit more do we get any joy. So United start to break with a little bit more intensity and more numbers, and we had to dig ourselves out of holes a number of times. The first time came on the 53rd minute, and David Raya, look, I mean, I've already just criticised his positioning a little bit for the free kick, and, online and on the TV, in the commentary, they absolutely were going for him. His second half performance righted all of that for me, because he saved, I think, 3 certain goals. First, this kind of United break was the first time Xerxes got the better of Saliba. Saliba was all over Xerxes, and I think he got a bit greedy at this point. He tried to kind of wrap his leg around, win the ball, but Xerxes was just strong enough in this occasion. I think Saliba just got the wrong side of him by trying to grab the ball too early, and Xerxes released the break down the left, and I believe the cross comes to Mazraoui, and it's a humongous save from David Raya. It's a 0.41 XG chance, 0.41, and he makes a really, really good save. I was so impressed with his second half performance, and we will obviously come on to more of the saves. But at this point, I'm starting to worry, because United obviously had the moment just before half-time where they scored, and then they have early chances in this second half, and I'm starting to get worried. Big chances as well, by the way. Not half chances. I'm starting to get worried because the crowd is getting up, and I'm thinking we cannot lose here. I mean, it was very, very important that we came out and scored, in my head, scored early and went on to win this game. But at this point, I'm looking at it going, can we even get a draw out of this? Because we've come back out, we've been very stodgy in the second half so far, and then Manchester United create a huge chance where we hadn't let them in the first half. All of a sudden, we let them in, and I think, pardon me, I think that gave them the encouragement. That moment changed them, because it went from this kind of back 5 with 5 in front kind of display where there was nothing going on, and I thought we were going to watch that for a whole second half of football. This chance, this break, made them think, okay, we can do something here. We can go forward and get something. And I think they started to commit a little bit more there. All of a sudden, they went from, in the first half, they were just kind of clearing the ball to nobody. In the second half, this chance and after this chance, they suddenly had runners. They drove out when they turned the ball over, as opposed to kind of just sitting in and having one person go and get nowhere near it. It was a clear instruction from Amorim. drive out, because we were committed so high up the pitch, they were going to get space. And they did. They absolutely did that. I actually think they deserve a lot of credit for how they counter-attacked in the second half. It was a much, much better display from Manchester United. And then we had some changes. Gabriel Martinelli, he came on, as I said. Miles Lewis-Skelly, he came on. 60th minute, we had Calafiori and Nwaneri came off. And just after that, we had another fantastic Raya save. This one, he kind of just has to get to it. Really, really, really good work from him. But the one, obviously, at the end of the game is just fantastic. Just fantastic. And there were 3 moments at the end of the game that I want to talk about. But, of course, we go on to score on the 73rd minute. 73rd minute. And Timber and Rice have been 2 of our players in recent weeks, I think, that have been doing the most, right? Really working hard for the team. Really trying to make up for our lack of forwards. They've just flashed a graphic up on the screen for Declan Rice. He had the most runs into the box of any player. He has got their player of the match, I think rightly so. We'll come on to the goal, of course, and his finish. Timber and Rice, like I say, they were both really, really driving forward in the PSV game, even to an extent in the West Ham game. You know, they were really driving forward, trying to make things happen. Timber's average positions at the moment are very, very high. It's impressive what he's doing and is able to do from that position. And Rice is obviously trying to kind of be a second striker to Merino at times. He's driving up the left-hand side of Merino, trying to get on the end of crosses and stuff. And I think Rice has really handled himself well since January. It was clear he's tired from the Euros and has come back into form recently really, really well. And these 2 players who have been trying so hard to make up for the lack of forwards came big for us in this moment. Timber, he sort of just takes a lot of initiative in this moment, drives at the Manchester United defence. Aiden Heaven is on at this point, of course. That's another subplot that's going on at the same time. He's on and Timber's attacking that side of the box. He sort of just drives at them. And Timber, I spoke about this on my last podcast, he's got this incredible ability to just always keep hold of the ball. He's got spider-like legs. And he just keeps hold of it, keeps driving, manages to cut back, and he sees Declan Rice on the edge of the area. He plays a very, very simple but good pass into him. You know, those sorts of finishes that Declan Rice produced, they rely on a perfect ball. They rely on a perfect pass, and that's exactly what he got. A very simple pass, but he has to get it right. It can't be bobbling. It can't be doing any of that. And it arrives with Declan Rice, and it's a goal that I think he really deserves at the moment. And it's such a good finish, isn't it? Wraps his foot round it, drives it into the far post. Onana's got no chance. Onana has got absolutely no chance. And I think Declan Rice deserves a ton of credit, because in these scenarios where things are just going wrong for us, he is always the guy to show that little bit of extra effort, to show that little bit of leadership. And we're going to lose Jorginho and Thomas Partey by the looks of it in the summer. They're not going to sign new contracts, so we're going to lose a lot of experience. I think Declan Rice is going to have to step up and be that guy for a number of young players coming through. Keep mentoring Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri and looking after them. But any other young lads that we bring through, he is going to have to look after them. And to see his amount of character on the pitch and how he displays that character and how willing he is to try and drive and push the team forward and do everything he can to win. He's got a real will to win. It's so refreshing to see. I think this goal, it kind of typifies his how he plays, how he does things. You know, it was one of our kind of many shots. I think we had 17 overall, and it was a very low XG chance. But after the shot, it's a high goal, expected goals on target kind of figure, because it's very, very good. It's a very, very good finish from a position where you wouldn't expect them to score, but the quality of the strike is so good, it turns it into a certain goal. We've got 16 minutes left at this point, plus injury time, and I'm thinking one thing. I'm thinking go for it. Kieran Tierney's getting warmed up at this point. He is ready to come on the left wing, and he does immediately. And I'm thinking, okay, cool. We're gonna do something different here then. We are going to push forward, and Kieran Tierney is going to be playing in big crosses. But unfortunately, we did not do that. We didn't do that in any way. It was a very strange reaction to our equaliser from Arsenal, because it was like we had fought and we'd we'd given Manchester United some chances as we commit further forward and try and get into the game and try and, get an equaliser. We got that equaliser, and all of a sudden, the fans, you could hear the away fans, they lifted up. They really, really kind of got up for it. But all that happened is we just dropped our quality. Yeah, we dropped our quality and we gave Manchester United 3 absolutely huge chances, I think. And this is why I said at the start, I think we're kind of lucky to get away from this game with a point. All honesty, Manchester United, they had created some good chances already in the second half. They created even bigger ones in past our equaliser, unfortunately, which is not how I wanted this to go. Not how I wanted it to go at all. The first one was on the 83rd minute, and this one, because a shot didn't get taken, we won't kind of have XG for, I don't think. This was a moment of madness from Marino. So Marino has dropped into left 8 at this point, and he gets the ball from, I think it's a pass from Raya, and just immediately I felt bad. You know that sinking feeling when you know a player is going to get caught on it? He was pressed very, very quickly, and Manchester United won the ball back at this point, and it drops, it's played, I should say, into the path of Rasmus Højlund. Rasmus Højlund has not scored a Premier League goal in 19 games, right? And we were about to gift him one. We were about to gift him one and probably gift him the winner. And it was going to be so frustrating if this moment goes in, if any of these big chances that I'm about to talk about go in. I could not believe that we were about to do this to ourselves. Having fought to get back into it, having, suffered some of these chances, and David Raya made 2 big saves that I've already spoken about, especially the one from Mazraoui. I thought, I can't believe we're about to blunder this. And Højlund has basically an open goal. Not an open goal, of course, Raya's in there, but he's got a very, very good one-on-one chance. Declan Rice comes from nowhere to hook his leg round and just poke the ball away from Rasmus Højlund. It is a stunning recovery tackle, absolutely stunning, to add to the fact that he's just scored 9 minutes earlier and he was driving everywhere, running everywhere. The tackle is unique, and it's one thing that Declan Rice just gives you in abundance. He gives you that guy who can get his leg on something that no one has any right to get to. It's a wonderful tackle, and again, I'm going to speak a lot about him because I think he was brilliant today. It was a tackle that only Declan Rice can make in my head, because he's the only player who doesn't look at that and goes, that's a lost cause. He just went for it, drove for it, and managed to hook his leg around Højlund. And you got to feel a little bit for Rasmus Højlund. He is not a confident player right now, and was probably just trying to steady himself. Know that this is his moment. Know that actually I'm going to break this streak. I'm going to win the Arsenal Manchester United derby at Old Trafford for a team that are really struggling. If I just get this right, I've done it. So it's really not a shame for him. I don't care, but that is the kind of thing that I think allows Declan Rice to get back into it. That kind of moment of he's just trying to steady himself. Maybe if Rasmus Højlund scored 4 goals in those last 10 games or something like that, and there's not a big narrative around him, he just lashes that, and we have to hope David Raya does something. But I think he just dallies on it just a hair, and that allows the superb challenge from Declan Rice. He was not the only player, however, to produce a certain goal-saving moment after we equalised. Gabriel was the next man to do that. And again, Manchester United going down their left, our right-hand side, they broke away, and I just felt like we were starting to leave big gaps. Not as bad the defending as it was for the final chance, but we'll come on to that. But yeah, there's a big drive down the left-hand side, and they cross the ball to Højlund. And again, one of these moments where Højlund must be thinking, I can do it. I can win us the game here. This is a big moment, a big chance. I'm just going to try and find the XG for the opportunity whilst I'm looking for it. Yeah, 0.19. So it was a big chance. It was a really decent opportunity for a goal, and it's pretty pinpoint, to be fair. It is right outside the 6-yard box, and Gabriel launches in with a last-minute tackle. Again, kind of coming around the back of the Manchester United player. In this period of the game, we were on full recovery mode. Like there was very little going on where we were in control of these scenarios and we were in the right positions. We were having to rely on our defenders' ability to be physical, to get to things at speed, and yeah, it was a wonderful tackle. And I'm sat there on my sofa going, Jesus, what are we doing? We're giving up humongous chances to a team who has been pretty woeful in attack for the last few months, and there was so much space for them to exploit, so much space. I do think the change bringing Tierney on probably allowed that a little bit. If you think about it, we took Thomas Partey off, we put Tierney on. That meant Marino comes into left 8, Declan Rice at the 6, and Trossard went up front. And Partey, I didn't think Partey had a great game, but removing the 6 who is, only a 6, a true 6, I think that just left us a little bit too exposed and it allowed Manchester United to get these chances in, right? Yes, obviously, down our left-hand side, Tierney can tuck in front of MLS, so that's helpful. But we lost that stability because Declan Rice is still, in his head, he's still go, go, go. Let's go forward. Let's run forward. Let's try and score a goal. He wants to win this game. Mikel Merino has been playing up front. He's been learning playing up front, so you put him in at left 8, he's going to be thinking about getting forward. And obviously, Tierney has clearly got instructions to get on and get crosses into the box. So we removed our kind of one pin in the midfield that was, you're not here to score goals, you're here to control the game and help us recycle it. And I just think that allowed Manchester United to play through us too easily. And then Saliba and Gabriel are brilliant, but they were up against a 3, where they're normally up against, a 1 and then wide wingers. So it was a different challenge, and fair play to Manchester United. They really, really exploited it. They exploited it the most, though, in the 92nd minute. And David Raya, having already saved us a couple of times, produced another double save for his catalogue. To add to the Aston Villa one earlier this season, he has produced another... Oh, and the Atalanta one, right? He's produced an absolute wonder double save. They obviously get down the right-hand side, and this was, I think, our worst defensive moment of the afternoon/evening. The break happens from Manchester United, and usually we have a left back in position who will run alongside whoever the winger is. And Miles Lewis-Skelly was caught out of position, so Gabriel drifts out. What would happen, or what should happen in that scenario, is because Gabriel's drifted out, fine. That means Miles Lewis-Skelly has to break his neck to get into Gabriel's position and defend that front post, because Gabriel's trying to stop the cross. I don't have any issues with Gabriel in this moment. I think he's done the right thing. He's sensed that Miles Lewis-Skelly is out of position, and he's gone out wide. He's gone out wide to engage the player. I think he's done the right thing. But Miles Lewis-Skelly does not react to that. He does not react in any way, and he's basically jogging back. And I hate that. I hate jogging back because I get that he's 18 and he might not know about... He probably does know about this danger, but he might not be quite sensing it. He might not be quite into the flow of the game. I understand all of that, but someone needs to be yelling at him, get on your bike. There was a lot of time that travelled where he could have been moving faster. Because of that, because Miles Lewis-Skelly doesn't fill in at left centre-back, Saliba has to come across, and we shift the whole defence across. And all of a sudden, it's like 2-on-2 or 2-on-3 in the Arsenal penalty area. Gabriel can't stop the cross. Again, not blaming him. I think this at moment is on Miles Lewis-Skelly for not recovering. And the ball comes in and it just sails across the Arsenal box. And no one can affect it. It's slightly behind where everyone thought it was going to be. And arriving towards the back post, but kind of quite central, with Bruno Fernandes. Is there a player in the Manchester United team that you would want this to fall to more than Bruno Fernandes? I don't think there is. He's already shown his quality, and he creates a very, very good strike on it. It's another high XG chance, 0.22. So a fair number of these go in, 1 in every 5. But the way it was struck and the pace that the break was happening with, it was probably a higher quality chance than even that suggests. David Raya, with the first save, is plenty for me. I think he's done brilliantly with the first save. It's classic goalkeeper training, kind of that going from the left-hand post, running across and diving down to your right to get to the ball. He does that, but as he gets to it, the ball bounces up and spins and is spinning back towards his goal. And again, classic goalkeeper training stuff. Inaki Kanya, hats off to you, sir, because this is a perfect example of what you do and why you do it. David Raya springs from the ground, launches himself backwards and claws it off the goal line. It was a wonderful double save, a moment that capped off a brilliant David Raya performance, an absolutely brilliant David Raya performance. I think the only reason he didn't get man of the match was that first half moment that just let him down a little bit. I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, I'm going to do a very brief bit about what can we do moving forward, because we need a better solution. Yes, we've found a solution in the Champions League when teams are giving us space, but we need a better solution to this low block problem that we've got in the Premier League. Hello everyone. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you're like me, you finished watching an Arsenal game and you're already looking for the next bit of Arsenal coverage you can find. If that sounds like you, follow or subscribe to Arsenal Unfiltered on your podcast app of choice right now to make sure you don't miss a single episode from me. I'm here 3 times a week, reviewing matches and covering Arsenal news, and I'm so excited to have you all here as well. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome back to this Arsenal match review podcast. Arsenal 1, Manchester United 1. A bit of a bleak evening, but I've just gone through the whole game and gone through some of these mad moments in this second half that I can't quite believe we got away with. Rice, Gabriel and Raya saving our bacon multiple times, and obviously Rice scoring an equaliser for us, which was really good, because it would have been horrible to lose to these guys in the condition that they're in. Mikel Arteta is currently on my TV screen. I have it muted so I can't tell what he's saying, but he does not look happy in the slightest. He looks quite angry and quite frustrated, and I can understand why. Before I go into a couple of points about how we can play against low blocks, I just want to do a couple of quick sections. First one, I'm gonna steal from Arsenal Vision, and I'm gonna do a stocks rising, stocks falling. I need to come up with my own version of this, but I just want to highlight those players that I think who've done really well, and I think I've highlighted 2 of them already quite a bit. Rice and Raya are kind of my 2 stock risings, and I think they've had a brilliant afternoon. Rice with a goal and tons of attacking intent, and obviously one massive tackle at the back. Raya, a bad moment in the first half with the free kick, but then multiple saves in the second half, including that wondrous double save, which I think will definitely go down for a March Save of the Month competition for sure. The 2 players that I think have lost a little bit in this moment, Trossard. I think Trossard generally is losing in this moment where we don't have Kai Havertz we do have Martinelli now, but where we haven't had Martinelli or Saka. He is the one kind of recognised forward who sometimes is a first choice, sometimes is, off the bench, who we should be turning to. And I think in games like this where we're not playing brilliantly and, Ødegaard has done okay but isn't exactly flying, and it's just not working for us. I don't think we got many of the 50-50 calls off the ref. I don't think many things really kind of went our way. And obviously then Manchester United have one moment and score. You're looking towards Leandro Trossard to say, okay, we need some quality in the final third. We need you to lead and show us the way. And he's not providing it at this moment in time. Yes, he was very good against PSV. I really thought the PSV game was going to be a kind of renaissance for him, and he did provide an assist in the Leicester game. But his general play, I think, is really difficult at the moment. Really difficult. I can't quite put my finger on what it is. Obviously, I've already spoken. When he's running back at our goal, I hate that. I hate when Trossard's doing that. He really needs to work on that. But I just think he sometimes makes horrible decisions with where he's making a pass. He often plays the simple pass where I think he should be doing something a bit more special. When he's got space and when he's got someone isolated, sometimes he just plays a simple pass. I'm like, no, that's your moment to go for it. And then at times where I think, okay, we don't need to fly up the pitch here. They've got plenty of players back. We need to kind of build and make a bit more of an attack and make something happen for ourselves. Well, I think sometimes he then rushes it and makes too much of a rash decision and tries to make things happen too quickly. And I think that's becoming a bit of a pattern in Trossard's play, and yeah, not ideal. The other player I think stopped falling, even though I did want him to start, is Riccardo Calafiori. We're in a scenario where we've got Miles Lewis-Skelly, who I think is not effective enough moving forward just yet, perhaps, but is far better at controlling that left-back position and that defensive area, and I think he's doing a really good job at it. But we don't want him in the starting 11 all the time. One, he's an 18-year-old kid. Two, I just think the narrative with the yellow cards and the red cards, we need to kill that before it becomes a real thing, and he needs to be on the bench for a few games just so that we can ease his kind of start to his career, because this has been a difficult start to your career. Make no bones about it, right? You're playing, I'm going to say very loosely, in a title challenge team at 18 years old, and it's been a brutal season for everyone, emotionally, physically. So for an 18-year-old to be involved in that, I think is very difficult. Riccardo Calafiori should be the guy stepping up, and I think he got cooked a number of times by Garnacho. I do not feel comfortable watching him try and turn and run with a player, or when a player just can use excessive pace on him. I think he is going to be a great player. I remain in that camp. But right now, I'm just a little bit worried about him. I think he needs a pre-season and a summer with Mikel Arteta. I think he needs to do some more kind of defensive work. We all had doubts about Gabriel when he was first here. I think Riccardo Calafiori gives me very, very similar vibes to Gabriel at that point. A little bit raw, a little bit unrefined, but the building blocks of a fantastic defender are absolutely there. And of course, he is an attacking threat, as he showed against PSV. So I think he has some work to do, but right now he's kind of one to watch as like a maybe that his stock is declining a little bit. And I promise, Arsenal Vision, I will come up with my own way of doing these. I just needed to steal from you there. If you don't know about the Arsenal Vision podcast, which I'd be amazed if you don't, go and listen to them. They're a fantastic podcast and an inspiration for everyone in the podcast community. Big question though, should we have had 2 penalties? So we've got one. Aiden Heaven handball. I mean, the cross comes in and he sort of heads it onto his own hand. My issue is you've seen them given, but I don't want that to be a penalty. I don't, because what's he supposed to do? He is a human. He has arms, and he's gone up to head the ball, and his hands have to be there. And yeah, he's not stopped us from scoring a goal there. They've gained no measurable advantage. I don't want a penalty for that. My problem is, I think if it's at the other end, they probably do give it. So that's my frustration. But I don't want penalties given for that. So I don't think we should have had a penalty there. The one I'm more confused about is Gabriel being pulled down at that corner. So Dalot has 2 hands around Gabriel quite clearly. VAR checked it, and VAR said, well, Gabriel throws himself to the ground. It's not that Dalot pulls him to the ground. It's that Gabriel throws himself to the ground. And I think I see what they're saying, I think is what I would say. I think I see what they're saying, but in the same token, we have seen penalties given where a player initiates contact with the defender. You know, they're running past them and they leave their leg just hanging a little bit longer. They leave their leg hanging because they know they're going to get a clip. And it's very similar here. Dalot has put himself in a position where he has put both arms around Gabriel, and Gabriel's trying to run for a corner. Now, he has impeded Gabriel from getting onto that ball by the simple act of having 2 arms around him. If Gabriel doesn't go down in that situation, he's been impeded but doesn't bring it to the referee's attention. So I'm really struggling with this one, because I do think Gabriel puts himself on the floor, but I think he's got no choice to, because he's already been impeded. He's been impeded by Dalot. There's nothing to say that Gabriel would have absolutely got on that corner, and there's nothing to say that we would have scored or anything like that. We've also already missed a penalty against Manchester United, a penalty that I don't think we should have had. So maybe that's, karma kind of levelling off there, because we shouldn't have had a penalty against Manchester United in the FA Cup, and we didn't get this one here, where I think probably we should have done. It was a little bit more of a penalty than the one Harry Maguire gave away against us. Okay, I just want to finish with how are we going to deal with these these low blocks. And I think today's goal typified it, right? Absolutely typified it. We need our attackers to take as much initiative as Jurrien Timber did in that moment. And when Jurrien Timber was running, I've watched the highlight now against Mazraoui. I thought it was Heaven, but it was Mazraoui. When he was running at Mazraoui, he wasn't necessarily doing anything special. That is not an amazing moment from a Premier League footballer. Okay, he's just running at him directly and with intent. And what he's doing is he's moving the ball, little bit left, little bit right, little bit left, little bit right, and he's going with enough speed and enough commitment that Mazraoui has to back off. He has to back off. And what that does is it creates space, right? Because if we condense teams even further, even narrower than they already are, it creates spaces on the edge of the penalty area or over the back for a cross. And that is how we are going to create space for me, because these teams, Manchester United today, defended so deep, and we saw West Ham do it. We didn't really see Leicester do it, but we've seen it as a pattern. The Premier League teams know that if they turn up against Arsenal and they play a semi-decent low to mid block, they have a chance of getting a result, and that's not a place we want to be. We have to have players like Jurrien Timber, and I say Jurrien Timber. We have to have players. We have to have our attackers playing like Jurrien Timber, where they are just taking initiative and driving and moving the opposition about. He moved Mazraoui left and right, and actually the Manchester United players felt a need to congregate to that area. He gets out and provides the ball to Declan Rice. Too often I see our attackers try and take almost like the long way round. They try and take the long way round players, where even Ethan Nwaneri today, he's so afraid. Well, he's not him, but he looked like he had fear of going too close to his defender for fear of losing the ball. You will absolutely lose the ball the closer you dribble to defenders. If you dribble kind of 4 feet away from them, no one's tackling you, but you're also not committing them. So if you're not committing a defender, you're not creating space. You're not getting past them, or you're not making them move in a certain direction. Jurrien Timber committed Mazraoui to this moment. And when he committed him, it meant that Manchester United had to get round Mazraoui. They had to get other players in to kind of back him up. And it allowed Timber to get a pass away. We need to be doing that a lot more. We need to be a lot braver with how we dribble at defenders and how we drive at other players. Against PSV, we had tons of space. And I think it's papered over cracks that we still have a really, really massive problem in attack. Gabriel Martinelli is back now. He is back, and he is going to need to go nuclear very, very quick. Hopefully we can rest players midweek against PSV because we're 7-1 up, of course, and then we can play a much better performance against Chelsea on the weekend. I'm going to leave it there. It's now 7:20. Still quite fresh after the game, to be fair. So I hope my thoughts, are still useful when they're this fresh, and I'll kind of come back to this a little bit more. I'm going to preview the PSV game, but I'll talk a little bit more about the Manchester United game in that pod on Tuesday, I believe, because we're playing at PSV on Wednesday this week. Overall, to sum it up, a very disappointing day. Very disappointing day. Stodgy in the first half. We overcommitted in the second and allowed Manchester United a huge number of high-quality chances. I think we got that substitute wrong with Partey after kind of forcing our way back into the match and clawing our way back towards a result. We got a substitution wrong, and that allowed Manchester United to get the upper hand. Thank God for David Raya, Declan Rice, Gabriel for their massive, massive moments. Declan Rice, my man of the match, very closely followed by David Raya. And let's hope we can have a better performance against PSV, rest some players, and then go again and perform better against Chelsea. Really enjoyed that one. Hope you did too. Like I said in the middle, if you did enjoy it, leave a follow, leave a review wherever you get your podcast from. That's super, super helpful. For now, all that's left to say is thank you for following, thank you for listening, and I will speak to you very, very soon.